Hey guys, what's up? It's Lost, and I'm lost. Today I was reading about Destiny, and I found something. D- It was about the glaives. I have not voiced my opinion about the glaives, and now I thought it would be appropriate to do so in a much greater extent. Bungie said, "We've noticed that several aspects of how glaives interact with weapon and armor perks don't match players' expectations, and we want to take some time to clarify the intent that changes included in Season 17, and the logic we'll use for the future change. A glaive melee is a basic melee attack, not a weapon attack, doesn't consume ammo, and deals kinetic damage, so it's more like an underpowered punch than a swing. Allowing buffs to weapon damage to apply to glaive melees would be too powerful for something without an ammo limitation, particularly in PvP, where a small damage buff would allow for incredibly fast two-hit kills. Also, in general, we prefer to increase the glaive melee damage directly, as we're doing, in fact, instead of effectively making weapon damage perks mandatory on glaives. Glaives already have a long lunge distance and increase this as a result for unreliable behavior over the network. So no melee lunge distance buffs apply to glaive melees. Our intent is, and yada yada yada. Essentially, what Bungie is saying is glaives is like a more underpowered punch, as they said themselves, and won't work with stuff like strongholds. Bungie, I love your game, but you're not making me want to use a glaive anymore. So that for those people who are unaware of why I don't like glaives, it isn't because the idea is bad. So if you're unaware of how a glaive works, so if you don't know what a glaive is, I'll look it up real quick, like so you can get an idea. An image. This is a glaive. That's a glaive. It's a general glaive. It's a melee weapon. So you're like, okay, so you can do a lot of melee combos, and you're like, wait, why doesn't it consume ammo though? If swords do the same thing, if you know anything about Bungie. Well, that's because Bungie thought in all their wisdom, let's make this a gun. Bungie? No. Make it a strict melee weapon. Okay, maybe the gun's not too bad. Yeah, except it's just a worse grenade launcher. If I were to use a blinding nades GL or anything else, it would be better. That's the thing. Bungie just doesn't seem to understand that its glaive idea was good at first, but now it just absolutely destroys all competition with it. If you don't understand what I'm saying, here's what I'm trying to say. Essentially, the glaive's biggest problem with this is, well, we don't want it to do more melee damage because it'd be too powerful in PvP. Good cause. So, why don't we do this? Let's make it do more damage in PvE directly. Okay? But here's the problem with that. Glaives already are less powerful. I'm glad they're giving them a buff. They absolutely desperately need it. Except in the weapon sandbox, it is so mismatched. A melee weapon in a special thing would be really good if it could do good damage fast. Like take out elites really fast, like a shotgun, except better because you have to get even closer and risk put yourself in a melee range. Well, except shotguns are just better. If you don't know of how shotguns work, it's essentially you get close, you shoot. But some of them have 1-2 punch, a ridiculously good perk that allows people to use a shotgun where you shoot, bang, and the enemy's dead. That's how it all works. But whenever everything's happening around the glaives, it really doesn't work. It how the glaives want to work is okay, you shoot an enemy and you can block with a shield. That's also the aim button. Okay, the bullet travels just about as fast as a grenade launcher, does less damage than a grenade launcher, and is more inaccurate than a grenade launcher. And whenever you hit an enemy, you get some shield charge back. Okay, shield charge doesn't sound so bad. It blocks every bit of damage, except a max shield maybe will last 5 seconds. You need to constantly be shooting your enemies, so whenever you run out of ammo, you have to get behind cover, reload, and then go turn right back around the corner. And if you have a melee weapon and you're using it more like a gun to defend yourself, here's my question. Why don't you use something better? Glaives have this problem. They've always had this classic problem where I feel like I can use 1,000 things that are just more interesting and better in every single way. It just feels unnecessary for me to even attempt to use a glaive. Like, the worst part of glaives that just doesn't make seem to make sense to me is why does glaives need to be this unreliable weapon? An SMG in lower end content is really a lot better than it. And a shotgun is better in high end content for elite damage. Both glaive is outclassed by an SMG and a shotgun in almost every way. It's like, okay, you can get unrelenting on this glaive and it can help heal you. Yeah. You know what else gives you unrelenting? Deafening whisper. Something that's much better at ad clear. And that's the thing that pisses me off. Bungie is so afraid of Mountaintop, of what Mountaintop did to the sandbox, that they're not willing to make a crazy, fun, and powerful weapon. If you're not aware of what I'm talking about, Mountaintop in Destiny 2, year 2 and 3, I think it was, yeah, 2 and 3. So during all the entire expansions of Forsaken and Shadowkeep, it was the most powerful gun. Now, Forsaken, it wasn't that prevalent because it was impossibly hard to get. But in Shadowkeep, they made grenade it easier to get, and essentially it broke the entire PvP sandbox. And that's not a good thing, by the way. Like, yes, great, you're increasing your glaive's damage. You are doing something good. Now, can you actually make the glaives useful somewhere? Because once this season is over, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with my glaive. It just feels unnecessary. It doesn't work whenever confronted with the idea of how does Bungie want glaives to work? Okay, essentially we want glaives to work our way, not your way, and screw you if you want it a different way. It's and like Bungie is trying its best. I can see that. It's trying to make glaives not the most powerful thing. But here's the problem. Whenever they do this, they often tend to undercorrect, which is Bungie's huge flaw of, we don't want anything too powerful. Oh, I know. Let's make this just kind of in the middle of the sandbox, so that it never can be too powerful. And then players complain that it doesn't feel useful and it's kind of neutered by your own thing, and you're like, our bad. We'll have to start buffing it later. No, whenever you release a gun, I don't care if it's too powerful. Whenever trace rifles started first coming to Big Light and Xur sold it, we had a weekend where it was so beyond powerful, like just a weekend, and we loved it. So why not now? Why not now? And the answer is because Bungie goes, I don't know. Maybe it's because we don't want it to be too powerful. Bungie, I understand that you don't want to break the PvP sandbox, but take inspiration from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Every once in a while, it's okay to have a gun that's so disproportionately broken for a bit so that players can have fun experiencing it, running around, having so much fun. That's what made the weekend of laser rifles so phenomenal to this. It just works so well. And as much as this looks like it could work, I'll grab a couple weapons and show you in combat what does better. Not just say it's worse and this is why. So because I'm going to be using an ad clear area. I second I have to check if this is the right one, and apparently my PC isn't strong enough to process this. So yeah, but you're just so afraid to make something so powerful again that you're willing to undercorrect it. You're so afraid to overcorrect you are now undercorrecting. And that's the thing. It, I'll have to trust that's the right one. So an SMG. Give me a second. My weapons would load. I could possibly do something, but hey, they're not. This is always frustrating. Okay, finally stuff is loaded in. Oh, nope. Wait, yes. I did grab the right one. Yay, okay. So I'll continue now. Let's take out Shariah's bow, by the way. So I'm taking out a Shariah's Wrath, a shotgun, and that. Actually, I think I might also take out my Sarcastic variable to show even an amazing weapon, not a not amazing weapon, can sometimes just feel better. And then I'll take out a Forbearance. Now, the reason I don't really want to show you Forbearance a ton is because it's an exclusive idea. But this is the idea of Bungie. We've we oftentimes notice that fans don't like it whenever their meta is so powerful, but they didn't notice that we don't like it whenever it goes on for too long. I'm pretty sure if maybe Modern Warfare 2 just had a weekend where they said, "Hey, we're buffing nuke tubes and all this for just a weekend. Have fun," and just everything just goes chaotic, people probably wouldn't be as pissed about it because it would have worked better in an idea of, "Oh, this is the meta of not stupid powerful proportions that's going to stay for a long time, but it's a weekend of chaotic and stupid fun." And like, yeah, that's a really fun idea. But Bungie is so afraid of having the same thing happen with Mountaintop. They go, "Oh, no, 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 no. We can't make it too powerful. We need it weaker. We need to make sure it can't perform as well as some of the best weapons so that it doesn't become so disproportionately too powerful." That's Bungie's theory on this. And it really shows. Why do I have such big stats? I don't know. Like those, that's just really big stats, but that's the thing. Like I have my Enigma, I have my Arbalist, I have this, and I just feel like it's useless. And I'm also going to be using Dead Messenger for the same thing. That sometimes it's going to feel like that this just isn't as useful. I'm also kind of slurring my words, and I'm aware of that. But I really wish Bungie would kind of adopt the ideology not of, "Oh, we can't make things too powerful. We need them weaker. We need them worse in every way. We can't have that." Now, I am using Icefall Mantles because I absolutely love the exotic, and I really wish it would get a bit more powerful now that shields have been introduced with Void subclass. So this is how the glaive works. It does a lot of damage. The melee is decent, except definitely the launch feels a bit janky at times. And what that white effect was a shield. Whenever I block, this blocks shots. But I have to constantly keep fire up to keep it up. Oh, I'm out of ammo. I gotta reload. So I gotta take down the shield, reload, and then shoot again. This is how this works. Now I'm gonna get this over real quick. Yep, he's dead. Yeah. Like a melee weapon is really cool. But the thing is that first of all that this lunge is really janky. Like I'll be running forward and I'll lunge. It just kind of doesn't feel proportionally right at times. Yeah, lunge range is nice, but it kind of doesn't feel nice. So that's a glaive. The problem is I'm too afraid to use my shots because it's special ammo. So let's go with Sarcastic variable. The SMG. This is how it shoots, by the way, so you can get a feel for it before I start shooting. But it's like, okay, the shield's pretty nice. This is low end content, so maybe high end content it's better. Well, It's a glaive. High-end content normally requires a sniper rifle and scout rifle because Bungie's idea of high-end content isn't, oh, we want to force you to use any weapon. It's use ranged snipers. Now I understand I'm using my stasis abilities more, but this is just shredding the ads much faster in a much more efficient way. I don't have to put myself in harm's way, and I don't need special ammo. Also, that rocket was placement was awful. I kind of hope to hit him. I'm aware of that. But I feel like whenever I'm using this, I'm getting better feedback. And no, I'm not going to go fight this again because I'm just going to reset the room. I'm going to use now Glacial Chasm. I'm also going to take off Arbalist. Actually, I'm going to use all the ammo first to get some extra Mercy ammo. If you're not aware of what Mercy ammo does, it's essentially if you run out of ammo, it gives you ammo for free. So essentially, I'm just wasting my Arbalist shot so I can get free ammo for my Glacial Chasm. Not so I can get something good or anything. Yes, I do run this a lot. Okay, it still hasn't appeared. Oh, there we go. Now, probably should reload it before I went in here. This doesn't have its full potential right now. I forgot about that. I need special. Just give me a special. Darn it. This is a Sacred Providence, which is essentially doing what... Like, I feel like I'm doing much better whenever I'm using this than the glaive. It's like, okay, maybe you're not giving the glaive a fair shake. Maybe. But consider that this is low-end content, and I'm using a pulse rifle, and I honestly am killing things faster, because the glaive works best whenever it's dealing with elites, and I'll use a glaive against him whenever it comes time. Seriously, no special ammo. Just look at that. Look at that damage. And I still have gotten zero special ammo except for one drop. Seriously, game? Okay. I'll have to try to get it. And once I do, I'll show you a boss I think I brought my first in, last out, did I not? I did not bring my first in, last out. I'll have to use this for boss DPS then, but my first in, last out is essentially a god roll. It's like, you're comparing things to a god roll. Well, yeah, because if it can't reach what I feel is a good fraction of that, because god rolls are normally specialized for much better content. Like, yeah, my gnawing hunger god roll. There's probably never gonna be another auto rifle that's better than it. I'm aware of that. Disorienting. Apparently got a headshot, but it just didn't count. I did not know that. And they're special. This is a special weapon that's doing ad clear. That's just 2 shots. Okay, now I'll finish these guys off. I'm getting a lot of special. Yeah. I'm not going to need to use you a ton, so... Oh, wrong direction. Okay, now it's time for me to switch it with the glaive, and let's see how the glaive fares against this. I'll put on Parasite, though. Whenever I'm using a glaive, I always feel like it's strongly trying to be a double special pair together. But the problem is, if I use a double special pair, I'm probably going to use 2 lead from gold weapons, and also get, like, maybe I could, if I would use a deafening whisper with lead from gold, unrelenting, and a primary special like that I can't think of off the top of my head. Like, yeah, I thought I missed him there. The damage number didn't even appear. I feel like the game's actually actively trying to make sure I hit my targets. Like, you saw that. That missed. It shouldn't have killed him. No damage number appeared, but it killed him anyway. Yep, time to reload. Yeah, I'm currently being really accurate with this thing. Now let's try sniping an enemy. Miss. Miss. So against snipers, it's not too useful. Yet. Okay, yeah, I probably shouldn't have wasted all my ammo. This is it against a boss. Nice combo, but Glacio Chasm was better. I could put myself at a range, didn't need to put myself in danger, and it has add clear on top of it. It's not even a, my not my Glacial Chasm, my Cartesian coordinate, which is a very specific boss loadout. Oh, hi, you're still alive. And I'll even use the special ammo next time. Not use all of it before I can kill the boss, you know. Call of Duty has the same problem. It doesn't feel like I'm legit needing to ever use this gun. I'm trying to think of scenarios where it would. Number one scenario would be Thrall Room in Crota's End, but Crota's End doesn't exist. As well as if I'm in Thrall Room in Crota's End, I'd probably just use Stochastic Variable. It's just that good. Maybe not Stochastic Variable, but maybe now why can't I remember it? Like, I didn't need to switch to my glaive to do a melee attack. Like, unless I'm on a melee warpath, I'm not going to use a glaive because it doesn't feel like I need to. Glaive as a special melee weapon would have been really good if it would have been powerful enough for me to actually legitimately use it in the PvP sandbox, not PvP, PvE sandbox. Like, I felt like if even low end content, but that's his damage. Wasn't the other one just flat out better? I didn't need to constantly put up. Now, maybe they're the exact same time, or maybe it's slightly faster. But keep in mind that that's a PvE role, and this doesn't have that amazing like Vorpal weapon or anything like that. This is just this is a better PvE role for ad clear, and still I would rather use my Stochastic Variable, and I'll even use my Heating Up Killing Wind. I really should look at the names so I can remember them. So Shariah's Wrath for ad clear, because again has Unrelenting and it's meant for that. Now the bolt may be good to create a shield, but here I think, do I have my strongholds on me? I do not. Okay, so I just got them out of dim. There we go. There. So now it doesn't look like the most fashionable thing, I will admit, but as a public event, don't care. If you're like, the block function is really cool, and you're like, that's what makes the saving grace. Okay, let's use strongholds. It's like this is just better. Oh my, you did a fraction of my health. Like, now they can damage me a bit. Hide. I have my health back. Okay, now it's time for me to switch to my SMG, and I don't want to get immediately pelted. This is my Shariah's Wrath. Again, if I'm going to use a melee weapon that's just as good as a melee, why would I use a melee weapon? Like my sword, it's a good boss DPS. That's why. It can do lots of damage. But if my glaive can't do enough to do a sustainable amount to elite, that I can specialize in elite close range kill, which I really shouldn't be, because that's only really useful in high end content. But whenever it can't even do that, like this is guillotine against boss. I just did 4 hits. I couldn't even use this master thing. Heavy ammo was doing much better against this. Oh wait, I can't slide and kill it. I forgot I switched that so I could get my stuff back. And this is just the problem with the glaive. If you're not noticing what I'm doing, I'm just putting on an SMG, a pulse rifle, and a sword, and it's doing better than a single glaive. Like my SMG is just doing everything better. It's like, oh, but it combines all. But it combines all in a kind of janky narrative that doesn't work a ton well. I'm going to take off this since I cannot stand that I look so horrendous. But here's the thing. I'm going to put on Forbearance, a special weapon that does this. This does not specialize in boss damage, but it specializes in ad clear. Like elite damage either. Now, it probably doesn't do as well as the glaive. I will admit that. But again, if I'm questioning why I need to use the glaive under any circumstance, it just doesn't feel like I need to ever. Like to an extent that's kind oh, hello there. Hello there. Yeah. Oh, I just blew him up. It's like this would be a stupid good ad clear weapon if it implemented right, and it is. Like oh fuck. If I obviously can aim it. And if it would fire right. I'm just going to use my super. But did you see how well I was able to do with a glaive? Not a glaive. With that forbearance? This is a pretty weak boss, by the way. It's not like a really tough boss. Like, no, no, no. I just one hit him with a melee. With my super melee. That's not strong. And glaive was not doing hot against him. I don't think I have. No, I don't. And for range, I'd probably just use anything else. And if you're like, well, glaives can currently have mods for the season. Yeah. Well, the mods are like anti-champion and really helpful mods, except why would I use a glaive still? The question in any game, whenever you implement melee weapons into a first-person shooter, is why should I use it? Call of Duty does this right with the Bowie knife. Well, you normally won't use it, so we're not going to make it take up a weapon slot. Bungie has the ideology of, oh no 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 no, it might be too powerful, so because everyone might be using it. PvP, you're more worried about this for PvP, and now it kind of feels so beyond useless in that. Like I just cleared out almost all of them. He's almost dead. Just one burst. I even took out his shield. Funny. And with my primary weapon, I can run my stasis build that just flat out can do better. I was gonna melee him, but I guess not. Oh yeah, this is my normal melee weapon, but I forgot I changed it recently. But this is the big problem I have with this. And if you're like, I don't understand with the 1-2 punch shotgun that you're going on. Okay, I'm trying to think of a good activity that has a high health target that I could easily mow down. Oh, they changed that. That's a lot cooler. But anyway, now I'm also going to put a lot of these guns back in, and I'm going to show off dead messengers. big flaw. I'm just going to talk about it, not show it off, I guess. But as you can see, Forbearance has chain reaction. If you don't know what chain reaction does, it's whenever you get a kill with this gun, they explode into arc. That's a really good perk on a Forbearance. Like a wave flame grenade launcher. I have a bunch of ads, shoot one on the ground, it goes forward and kills a line of them, but they all explode and kill everything else around them. Really good. Dead Messenger shoots three paths and one shot and it goes out in three paths. Pretty good. But if I can just use my Forbearance for ad clear, okay, it's useless in ad clear. Now, now the thing is, Dead Messenger isn't a bad gun. It's pretty good in PvP. I've really heard a lot extensively about that. But it isn't a bad gun. It's just an idea that is overshadowed by a lot of others. Like in PvE, why would I legit use Dead Messenger? It can switch its elements to any shield to match game. Yay! But in match game, you Arbalist. If it has barrier champions, Arbalist. If it doesn't have barrier champions, well, maybe not Arbalist, but you could probably find other weapons that do it just as good. Like right now, it's Overload and Unstoppable and Barrier. Since there's almost always two champions, I probably could use not Arbalist, but I don't have it on me right now because I don't keep it on all the time. But not Borealis, the other one. Can't remember its name. It's a it's an auto rifle, an exotic auto rifle. Now it's bothering me that I don't know it. It'd be energy. It'd be hard light. You just use hard light, and it would be a primary weapon that gets the job done. And also, it has anti-overload, and that doesn't. You're promoting this weapon with a really good idea of it can change its own elements, but if you don't give it an anti-champion for any of them, especially barrier, it's going to be overshadowed by every other weapon because this is a high end content weapon that can't be used in high end content because of champions. If you would have gotten rid of champions in favor of maybe Hive Guardians and more stuff like that, if you will, this will become infinitely better because then I don't need to use anti champion weapons. That's the thing. If I don't need to use any weapon beyond that, okay, so what? So, as I've been saying, its DPS against other things isn't as good. Okay, let's take that out. And let's put some stuff back in. Like, there's a shotgun I'm going to use. Here's my Cartesian coordinate I'm going to use. And for complete purpose sakes of it might be useful at close ranges, let's take out my where is it? Where is it? Where there it is, my found verdict. It's not masterworks, but it is pretty damn good. But then I'll also take out maybe again we want to stick with legendary ones, ignition code and the glaive as well, of course. I can't forget that, or then I'm just gonna be comparing it to nothing. Okay. So yeah, let's go to Europa. I'm trying to think of a good place to fight an elite enemy quickly. Like for elite, both of the weapons I chose also can do boss damage and can take care of elites. Not sure if they can do it better. But this is a boss damage one, this is a boss damage one, this is a boss damage one, and this is just nothing. I'll definitely take off Forbearance, but I think where did I go again? Yeah, I'm just gonna do the same thing again. No, I can't do the same thing again. It doesn't have elites. Oh, I have two already. Bungie has this problem of they're too afraid of powerful weapons. So they'll specifically make sure that weapons don't get too powerful. And then they end up with problems like these where players are like, "Hey, the glaive isn't strong enough," and they're like, "Oh, really? I'm sorry," because Bungie said in their own introduction video that the glaive was too powerful and they had to nerf it. Idea. Okay, how about you don't? Actually, that boss could probably serve as an elite. I'm not going into that lost sector since technically I want to fight a weaker boss that can show off what I'm talking about because those two have stronger bosses. Because if I'm comparing them to boss damage weapons that have Warple and auto loading, I can easily massacre them with the correct weapons. But the glaive won't work because of its ammo shortage. But since it's supposed to be anti-elite or ad clear, and I've clearly shown that it's terrible at ad clear against other legendary weapons, there's a reason I'm not using exotics, a lot of exotics. It's because it's not fair to it. Because then you can make the argument that, well, you could save up in an exotic slot, and that's Dead Messenger's problem. Of I can just save up an exotic slot. If your exotic isn't doing enough for me, well, oh, I'm sorry then. Yay. Need to save you. Two shots. Okay, so let's grab my found verdict now. If you don't know, if you haven't noticed, I'm really good with stasis, but glaive doesn't work too well with how I set up my stasis build, and yay, I guess. Now, if you really love the glaive, great for you. I never could get into it because of how weak it felt compared to all of my other weapons. I love my stochastic variable. I love it a lot. I wish I could use it more since it's not as useful as a lot of other ones. That's probably the most mediocre legendary I have that I would love to use more, and I probably should because it's just so fun to use. Also, Icefall would not pair very well with it. Like that's my entire idea. Icefall would pair terribly with my glaive, so that my Icefall build would be useless. Like, oh, yeah, I didn't even need 1-2 punch. Again, this is a close ranged weapon, so if I'm putting it up against other close ranged weapons, it should be able to do what it does, but better, because it's a much more risky weapon. And for the last one, Cartesian coordinate. Yeah, I need to take that off so I can actually leave on time. So I move at like 2 miles per hour whenever I have it on. That's Icefall's biggest debuff, but whenever I pop it and I go into a room, I'm just essentially really strong, and I love that. Like everyone's like, oh yeah, Icefalls is now becoming useless because of the void. I still believe that Icefalls is a lot better than people are now giving it credit for. Like, yes, PvP, maybe not so much, but in PvE, I would probably rather use this. Like, yeah, I can help my teammates out with that one. That's really good. But like 9 other Titans are going to be using it, and I kind of don't want to be left in a situation where a barrier could, block enemy shots. Yes. But Ice Falls, oh, I have stasis on. Slide like this, pop that down, pop my barrier. I wasn't able to kill him because of range, but allows me to do a big burst of damage. Like I took out half of his health right there with one burst. I probably could have done more if I would have gotten closer and also been more accurate. I don't know why I was looking down there. So now let's put on the glaive and let's test that. Yay! Now there is one place could see you having a debate for using the glaive, and that's against shielded knights. The problem is against shielded knights, well, what's also better? I don't know. Maybe Cryosynthia, the sidearm that can freeze opponents and you could just break it out, or maybe just fusioning their shield. The thing is, if it worked a bit more how I would expect it to work, yeah, I was making sure I was actually here. Like maybe if against the shielded opponents it could go through shields, that would be really interesting idea that the bolt and the weapon can go through shields. It would make it in a way that shielded elites would be a lot worse against that. Like not just physical shields, but shielded elites, because there are physical shields in Destiny. That creates this problem. Okay, now it's time to let you get your shield back. Again, I don't want him. I want him to get his shield back so I can properly show you. This guy's essentially an elite, and I'm finding it not that good to kill him, and the shotguns were just faster. And again, and now if I'm being critically harsh on this, not because I don't want glaives to succeed, but because I want them to succeed. I was so excited whenever they announced that they were going to make a new melee weapon because they're like, oh, that means they're going to branch out and maybe do maybe knives next. Maybe they could take that, an idea like that, or maybe they could do a war hammer or a war axe. That'd be a really cool idea. Like, yeah, I know Burning Maul has a war hammer, but that'd be such a cool idea and it's such a cool implementation. But no, they're more like, nah. How about we don't? How about we strip away all the fun from this? Bungie, please don't do that. But the more I use it, the more I'm just reminded that this just isn't that good of a weapon. So that's never fun for me. So yeah, Bungie is currently struggling with its identity of we're too afraid to make these fun guns too strong now, and they're running into the problem of we don't want it to be like Mountaintop. Like, yes, we hated Mountaintop. You know why? Because it was so long that before you nerfed it. I hated Mountaintop because I was every time I entered Crucible for about a year, I was getting destroyed by it because it was just that ridiculous. You'd have hunters with mountaintops who'd use stompies, bounce in the air, shoot into the ground, you'd be dead in a second. The thing with Mountaintop is it actually had a counter, unlike Graviton. The reason we were sick of it is because it lasted for so long. If you just make a weekend where you could, use it and see how the community does stuff and tweak it over time every week or something, maybe every 2 weeks, and just tweak it over time in a much more cohesive and fun and crazy way where it would make it more fun for people in PvP to use it rather than taking the approach of, but we don't want to make it too powerful. It's like, eh. Sometimes having this really fun weekend where everyone's using a glaive in PvP isn't the worst idea ever. It's like, but everyone would be in trials killing each other with it. Yeah, maybe that wouldn't be kind of a fun meta for just a week. They made, laser weekend a thing a long time ago in Destiny 1, but now they're just like, but nah, it's gonna be too strong. And I'm like, take